Today I'm counting down my personal favorite roller coasters at Six Flags Great Adventure. This is a fantastic Six Flags park. They have some great world-class roller coasters. I have ridden every single one on this list, so this is strictly opinion-based. Let's start things off with the number 10 coaster, Runaway Mine Train. Here's the thing about this coaster. This coaster is more for looks than re-rideability. It looks cool as it passes over the lake, but in terms of a ride experience, it's very dull and it gives you whiplash. I came off and I was like, no thanks, I don't need to ride that again. It's a very boring ride. It's more of a coaster meant for younger ones or families. And overall, I just wasn't crazy about this ride. Next up is Skull Mountain, the indoor family coaster. This coaster is cool. You can't see a thing when you're in that room. You're completely disoriented as the track is winding around itself. It's very cool, and actually what's weird about this coaster is that the train is really long. Like a backseat ride on this will have you just flying over things as the train is pulling you along. Next up is the Dark Knight coaster, a wild mouse in a box. Now here's why I said that's better than Skull Mountain. I like the theming for this coaster a lot. I mean, half the time it's just like cardboard cutouts. It's not like Disney level theming, but it's looking cool. It's a very well themed coaster, and I love the pre-show for this ride. It's a news bit, and then the Joker interferes with the signal. It's very cool. And the fact that Six Flags Great Adventure has 2 indoor coasters is very nice. Number 7 is the first of 5 B&M coasters at Six Flags Great Adventure. That's more coasters by B&M at one park than any other park. And they're all great. Number 7 is their stand-up coaster, Green Lantern. This is a very well done stand-up coaster, but the reason it's coming in at number 7 is because it's a stand-up coaster. People just aren't big fans of standing up on a ride. Now that being said, for a stand-up coaster, this is great. The inversions are fantastic, it's smooth, it has good transitions, and it's a fairly long ride. Next up is the cloned Batman the Ride inverted coaster. Even though this coaster is at Six Flags parks all over the country, this is still a compact and intense ride. Now we're at our number 5, which is Bizarro, their floorless coaster. This is personally my favorite floorless coaster that I've ridden. I love the color scheme for this coaster, and the theme is very cool. I really enjoy this coaster. This is personally one of my favorites. Number 4 is their flying coaster, Superman Ultimate Flight. Like Batman, this coaster is also at other Six Flags parks. There's one at Six Flags Great America and over Georgia. However, this flying coaster is very fun. Some people complain about it being boring other than the pretzel loop. However, it's supposed to give you the sensation of flying, and it does a great job at that. The pretzel loop itself is the best part of the coaster, though. It's very intense. You pull some great G's on it. So now let's move on to our number 3 coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure, which I consider to be Nitro, the B&M Hyper Coaster, and the final B&M coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure. Many people consider this the best coaster in the park or the second best coaster. What I like about it is how it's a really long ride, it has some fun airtime moments, and it has a whole twister section of the ride. I wouldn't say it's a very intense coaster, but it is a great ride. The one thing though that I really don't like about it though is the color scheme. Ugh, it's so gross. I really wish that they'd painted different colors. Number 2 is the tallest coaster in the world and the fastest in the United States, Kingda Ka. Now many people are going to argue which coaster is better, Kingda Ka or Nitro. Kingda Ka receives a lot of crap for being short. Maybe they think that the launch is rough. Or they still hold a grudge that Six Flags decided to install a coaster that was almost exactly like Top Thrill Dragster. However, forget Dragster, I'm looking at Kingda Ka. I personally did not find the launch rough. I found it to be a very intense coaster, and I love intense rides. If you watch my videos, you know I love intensity. It is short, however, it packs a lot into its ride, which I love. And the coaster that I consider to be the number 1 coaster in the park happens to be the only Woody in the park, El Toro. This coaster is phenomenal. To this day, it remains in the top 3 coasters that I have ever ridden. And I consider it the best wooden coaster that I've ridden. Everything about this ride is fantastic, from the cable lift hill to those overbanks at the very end. I wish that this ride was a lot longer because this ride is so great. The airtime on it is insane. It is fast and intense. And let's talk about that drop. The drop is so cool. This is a tall coaster with a steep drop. It doesn't feel like a wooden coaster because it's very smooth. Everything about this coaster is fantastic. And I consider it to be the best coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure, although I will say this Six Flags park has a lot of great roller coasters. These were my favorites in this order. However, I know with this park, a lot of this order is going to be swapped around for different people because so many of their coasters are great. So hats off to you, Six Flags Great Adventure, for having some fantastic roller coasters.